Hi guys, Jordan from P&B Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Autocruise and it's on the 2007 and it's a Starfire model. So you've got the overcab bed in this one, which is a bit unusual for a Starfire, but I'll run you through the layout and everything we've got inside in just a minute. So first off, I'm going to start you under the bonnet. So over on the left hand side we've got the engine battery over here. You've then got the brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back, and your engine oil filling point. You've got an option of either this one here or this one here at the front, which is a bit easier to get to. You've then got your power steering fluid in this reservoir at the front, fuses and relays and bits and pieces in here at the top, engine coolant in this reservoir at the top here, your air filter sits inside this box, and then you've got your washer fluid down here on the bottom right. You've got your fuses and relays inside here as well. This is your main fuse box under the bonnet. On the front near side here we've got your diesel filling point. So to open that up you literally just push in on this left hand side and that'll then open this up nice and easy. Inside the passenger door you can see got really good access to the underneath of both of these seats here, so if you ever needed to fill these spaces up with anything you can do that nice and easy. Glove box, and you've got a fuse board behind here, same on the other side as well, but I think that's about it really for inside the passenger door. So this lower locker here on this front near side, you've got the leisure battery just down here. The leisure battery itself has got a cover which sits over the top like so, and then you just pop these little clips over on both sides and that is now completely secure. You got the original carpets in here. These have all been cleaned off and tied up, put in here so that you don't have to, you know, put them back down. If you don't want to put them down, you don't have to. If you do, obviously you can do. Bit more storage inside here. This is like a wet locker really, and then the rest of it is all just storage. External power socket just down here, which as you can see is underneath your awning. These two lockers just here are both to do with the fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, you'll be able to feel hot air coming through the top of this top right hand side vent. So if you wanted to double check that it's definitely working, just do that. If you feel hot air coming through, it's definitely on. Step, as you can see, it's a double step, quite a high sort of, when you walk through here it's quite high up, that's hence why the double step. I'll show you that working, coming in and out really nicely like so. Then got the external gas point. So this is a bullfinch gas fitting, and again that's why they put it under here under the awning, so you've got a barbecue point basically. On the back of the van you've got your 3-bike rack, ladder to get up onto the roof as well. We have got a couple of steadies on order for the back just here because these ones were seized up, so we've had to get some new bits and pieces, so that's going to be happening very soon. The bodywork on here is absolutely lovely, as you can see there. So down underneath here on this rear off side of the vehicle we have got, so I go to the right place, just here, this is your wastewater drain off point, and it's just basically in this little clip here. So wastewater drain off point just there under the rear near side, offside, sorry, rear offside. Okay, so again on the offside at the back just here we've got this locker underneath this window here. This is our toilet cassette locker. So to take the toilet cassette out, we lift up on the little yellow tab inside there and pull the cassette towards us. We'll then be able to take the cassette out completely, like so. So to empty the cassette out, turn this handle around and then drain from this little yellow cap. When you're draining it out, you should be holding down this little yellow button and then push it all the way back in again once you've done that. The blue fluid is what goes back inside here, and you need about a cap worth of the blue fluid to go back in. You've got a freshwater flush, which is what this pipe here is on the left hand side. So as long as you've got some water in your freshwater tank, you'll be able to flush the toilet wherever you are. Next door to that, we've got this, which is your boiler vent. So this is the vent that you'll have heat coming out of if you're using the hot water. Next one is your freshwater filling point. So you have got the option on here. So when Autocruise were making these vehicles, they always gave you the option, well not always, but the majority of the time, they gave you the option of having this pump filling point, or they do give you really good access to the top of the fresh tank so that you can pour water straight into the top of the fresh tank inside, or you can use the fitting that plugs into this and drops into a tank. So it's completely up to you how you want to do that, and I'll explain how to turn that on when we get inside in just a minute. So we have had to replace this. This is a brand new one because the other one was cracked. Same goes for this hookup point here as well. So this is another new one. So the hookup point, basically, if you have that hookup plugged in, it'll give you access to any mains powered appliances you might have. Also gives you access to the 3-pin sockets around the vehicle, like your household sockets. So you've also got external hot and cold water. So this is another bullfinch fitting, so you can have hot and cold water outside wherever you are. And the last locker is just down here on the front off side. This is your gas locker. Looks to me like the regulator has been replaced, and you've got a new pigtail hose. So the date on that, 2023. So you've got till 28 to replace that pigtail hose. So to turn the gas bottle on, we go anti-clockwise round to the left, and then to turn it off, we go all the way down clockwise round to the right. You haven't got to do anything with the regulator. That's literally, you've just got a testing point on the right hand side. That's for our testing sort of purposes. And other than that, that is about it really for the gas locker. Okay, so pretty much every extra you can ever imagine on the outside of the vehicle, if I'm honest, which is always a good thing. So in the cab, speaking of extras, this particular year of vehicle is particularly unusual to have air conditioning. So having this little aircon switch down here is very, very unusual. You normally used to find them only really on the sort of massive sort of Bursner big tag axle things. It's very unusual to have aircon on one of these. So having that there is really handy. You've also got your electronic adjusting mirrors, so you can choose which mirror to move and then move this around like a little joystick basically to adjust your mirrors accordingly. You've got the washers and wipers on the right, indicators and lights on your left. Hazard warning lights from this little switch just here in the middle, and you've got your factory fitted standard Peugeot head unit up there. As I said, both front seats swivel round, and that is just literally by pulling this little orange handle just there, and that will allow the seat to swivel round. So just briefly, before I start talking about the control panel and everything like that, as I said, you have got the overcab bed. Now normally, the sort of standard Starfire layout would be to have no overcab bed, just a little bit of storage here, and a very similar layout to this with the side settees. But with this, something I absolutely loved, if I'm honest, you pull this down like so, and then you've got one of the biggest overcab beds I've ever seen. So obviously some people will only use this for storage, and if you are going to use it as storage, then you know, this is the biggest amount of storage I've ever seen. Or you've obviously got the option of having a really nice big double bed up there with the original mattresses there as well. So really, really cool layout on gas struts there, as you can see. And you know, you can leave that up like that if you want to as you drive, because you have to pull pretty hard to get that to come down. So it's not going to come down on you whilst you drive. So yeah, very, very cool little function there. Obviously the roof has this kind of shape to it in order to cater for that, for your head really when you're trying to get up there. So yeah, there you go. Just thought I'd point that out first before we sort of carry on. All right, so even though you've got this, you know, massive storage area at the top just there, you have also got tons of storage overhead as well. All of these lockers the same, as you can see. Front lockers up there as well, and we've got the wardrobe in here Again, loads more storage in here. You've got access to the wardrobe here from inside the bathroom, which is something that I've always quite liked. Just a little thing, I suppose you can get to your clothes from in the bathroom then and all that sort of stuff. So very handy sort of layout, very clever. I'll just see if there's anything I need to show. Oh, there you go. So in this cupboard just here, this is your power supply unit. So this is a Sargent EC200. This is like the industry standard, really, sort of power supply unit. So basically anything that has electricity running through it, so your leisure battery, engine battery, your electric hookup, all that sort of stuff comes to here first and then gets split off wherever it needs to go around the vehicle. So this is kind of like the heart of the vehicle here. So you've got your 12-volt fuses down the bottom, and you've got a little diagram here telling you what each one does. It tells you also what size it should be and colour. So for example, if we had a problem with the pump one day, the pump gave up, I'd have a little look here, say number 7 should be a 10 amp red fuse, and it's for the pump. So we can have a look in here. Yes, it's a 10 amp red fuse, and then I could check it. So that's really, really nice and easy to check up on things. Next door to that, we've also got this, which is your trip switches. Also has a little diagram here telling you what each one does. So there you go. That is the power supply unit. Nice and easy. So the control panel itself, because you've got the Sargent EC200, you've also got the EC200 digital control. So this is the control panel that links up directly to your power supply unit. So basically what you've got, this is a very, very simple way to use this. You've got an aux switch just here. So that's going to be any auxiliary power, basically any 12-volt power that certain appliances might need, and a main power switch. Okay, so the main power switch, when you turn that on, like so, you should then have the ability to use your lights. Okay, so that is the switch that you need to have on. That basically just the main power switch will then allow you to come through to the back and turn on your lights. All right, so that's the main power switch on. Aux is going to be for things, certain things, 12-volt related stuff. You know, if you've got TVs like this one, that might be powered up by the auxiliary. You have also got the electric skylight on here. All right, so that may or may not need the auxiliary power on. So essentially what I'm trying to say is whenever I get into a vehicle that's got a power switch and an aux switch, I just get in and turn both of these two on, because that way you know that everything's got power to it and you can use anything you like. So turn these two on when you get into the vehicle, and then you don't have to think about it then. You've then got this switch just here, which is for your water pump. So I'll turn that on. And then what I can do from there is just check to see if we've got pressure coming through the taps. So I go cold first. There might not be very much water in the actual tank at the moment. There you go, it's just getting some pressure through. Getting rid of a little bit of air there. And so we may or may not find that there's not enough water in the tank for the moment. So let me just check on that. Fresh tank, empty. All right, there you go. That's why we're not getting any pressure. So, good example, really. So, essentially what you can do from here, so when you turn that water pump switch on, if you hear the pump turns on and just doesn't stop, it just carries on and carries on and carries on, you need to make sure that you've actually got water in your fresh tank. So at the moment it's just saying there 0% full, so you haven't got enough water in the tank to actually draw any water through to the taps. All right, so that's why that pump there will just run on forever, because it can't get to any pressure. All right, so if that is going to happen, you need to make sure that you turn your pump off, fill the tank up with some water, make sure that it comes up saying that you've actually got some in it, and then try again. Turn the pump on, and then just draw the water through on hot and cold until it starts coming through nicely. Once it does start coming through nicely, the pump should then turn itself off when you stop drawing the water through the tap, and then you're good to go. You're up to pressure, and that's all you need to do. So the last switch on this left hand side here, this one here, is basically that's your battery selector. And what I mean by battery selector is it selects which battery is going to be powering the 12-volt stuff. So your lights, your ignitions, things like that. So at the moment, when that light is not on, it's the leisure battery that's powering the back end of the vehicle. If I wanted to switch over to the engine battery to start powering everything, I'll turn that button on just there. And now these lights and the water pump and whatever I want to turn on is now being powered from the engine battery. Right now, there's an obvious downside to that, which is that if you use this for too long on the engine battery, you're not going to be able to start the van up because you'll flatten the battery out. So for the most part, you're going to want to leave this switch turned off because you want to use your leisure battery to power your appliances. And the only reason that you would ever actually use that, the only real use to that, in my experience, is that it also, because it switches the battery that's being used, it also switches the battery that's being charged. So if you're hooked up on the mains and this light is turned off, the mains charger is going to be charging up the leisure battery because that's the battery that's selected. If you turn the switch on, it means that because you've selected the engine battery now, if you're hooked up on the mains, the electric hookup charger is going to start charging the engine battery instead. So, for example, if you're stuck in the middle of the field somewhere and your engine battery's gone flat, you can't start it up. If you do have access to a hookup cable, you can plug the hookup cable in, turn that switch there on, and it will then start charging the engine battery from your mains powered charger. So that's the only real use that I can see for that switch there. Otherwise, I don't see the point in it, because the last thing you want is to be draining out your engine battery. So if I just take us back to the home page here. So on this little home page, it tells us a few things. It tells us that it's an EC200. It tells us the version that we're working on, like the software version. It tells us the time, and it tells us the temperature. So you can go through and change the time and the, all that sort of stuff on there. At the moment, it's telling us that the leisure battery is a little bit low. So what I will do is I'll put a tester on that battery and make sure it's okay. If it's not any good when I test it after the video, I'll put a new one in it because the last thing we want is for the leisure battery to be no good. So anyway, let's just go back to the home screen again. Gone the wrong way there. Right, so this is your home screen. So I'll just flick through and show you what we've got coming on here. So I'm going to press the up button here. So event timer, I'm not going to bother with that. I don't need that. Alarm, so you can set yourself an alarm on that. Set the time for that. Clock set, you can change your time on that. Water tank fill. So again, you don't need to worry about that one. But this one here, the pump select. So if I change these around, so you've got the option of internal pump, which is the pump that draws the water through to the taps. You've got external pump, which is that plug on the outside which draws the fresh water into your tank, or both. Okay, so when you want to draw water through, if you want to draw water through that external pump out there that I showed you, you have to make sure that external is chosen, and that'll basically just give power to that pump to draw the water in. Again, for the majority of the time, you're going to be on internal because you're going to be wanting to use the internal pump for drawing water through to the taps. Right, after that you've got wastewater level, that's empty, freshwater level, that's empty, vehicle battery voltage, and leisure battery voltage. And back to the beginning. So that's the control panel, very simple to use, that one. We don't tend to get any issues with those as well, they're pretty reliable. So you've got drinks cupboard, another sort of standard thing that Autocruise like to do. A couple of sockets down here as well. So you've got two mains powered sockets, a 12-volt socket in here, and an aerial point next door to that. This switch over here on the right is an isolator for the mains on your fridge. So if you ever had the fridge working on electric, you need to make sure this button here is turned on. Okay, so I'm going to start running through some of the appliances now, so we can start over here by the door. So you have obviously got your sink and drainer. You've got the option of having this down as an extra bit of worktop. Let me just move that out of the way a bit. As an extra bit of worktop just there, which I think is a really good idea actually. And actually I think it makes it look a bit neater when you're not using the sink to have this down like this. Counters, over the counter storage up here, so you've got loads of that up here as well. And there you go. Okay, so we've then got the range cooker. So you've basically got the option of gas on the top or an electric ring here as well. So you've got an ignition switch here, just here, and that will basically do the ignition for any of the gas fittings. So that's going to be your 3 burners at the top, it's going to be your grill and the oven underneath as well. So igniter does all the ignitions for all of those, and you've got individual switches for each of these. So down here we've got your gas isolation points. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from any sort of specific appliances, I'll run you through which ones do which. So at the top we've got the cooker. Second one down is the fridge. Third one down is the boiler, and the bottom one is your heater. Okay, so we've then got the fridge, which is a Dometic 3-way fridge. So this works 3 different ways, and what I mean by that is it works on 3 different energies. So we've got the option of gas at the top, 240 volt in the middle, and 12 volt at the bottom. So if I show you how to use it on gas first of all, so if you want to light it up on gas, first off we need to make sure that the gas is actually on in the cupboard. From there we just literally turn this dial once to the right, and as you can probably hear, the igniter comes straight on and it lights up. And that's all you have to do. You've then got your temperature selector over on the right, but basically that's all you have to do to light it up on gas. Next one down is if your electric hookup's plugged in, you can use it on the mains, and then again you just literally leave that alone. That's it. You just select that one and that's it, selected. And the one at the bottom is your 12 volt function, which is for when your engine is running. So the idea behind these fridges, I'll just leave it on gas for a minute. The idea behind it is that you have to get the fridge cold first before you leave. And the reason that you have to do that is that the 12 volt is only really good enough to retain whatever temperature is inside the fridge. So if you're going to go away on holiday tomorrow morning, I would always recommend come out the night before, light it up on gas or hook it up on mains and use the mains, and then by the morning your fridge will be nice and cold, and all you have to do is switch over to 12 volt whilst you're driving. So I'm going to leave that on gas for a minute just to get that cold and make sure it's definitely working properly. The table is inside this little hidden cupboard here, so you've got the original full-sized standalone table in here. So we were up at the show with this van a couple of weeks ago and I could not find this for love nor money, but it's just in this nice little hidden cupboard in there. So that's your full-size table, which sits in the middle here between these 2 settees. So the next appliance is going to be your heater. So the heating itself, you've got the option of gas or electric. So if I just show you down here on the actual front of the heater itself, we've got the option of lighting it up on gas. To use it on the mains is a couple of switches up the top just there, which I'll show you in a minute. So if you want to use it on gas, what you've essentially got is a piezo igniter. So this little button here, that is your ignition. And you've got a little peephole down here to actually see the flame with. So if I just try and do this with one hand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this round to 2 or 3, push in whilst pressing on the igniter. So you can see there now, pilot flame is lit straight up. A little bit tricky to see it on the camera, I think, but it is there. So I'm still holding this in at the moment just to allow this to warm up a little bit, just to let the pilot warm up a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up on that and now turn it all the way around to about 7 or 8. So if you watch what happens when I turn it around now. So you saw there, that's the main flame kicking in. And as long as those flames stay on inside there and don't go out, you can leave the heater alone, and that's it. That's the gas lit up on the heater, and that's all you have to do. That's how you light it up. All right, so just double check on that. Yeah, still going. Okay, so from there, you've also got the option on here of the blown air heating. So a lot of these heaters just have literally, this is just it, this heats up from here and that's it. But with this one, you can push this little switch here to the left and then select how powerful you want the fan to pump around the hot air to these little vents. So there's two at the front just here. There'll be one in the bathroom and there may or may not be one around here. No, there's not. So there's just these two here and one in the bathroom. And that will basically just start heating the entire van up really evenly over a fairly short period of time. All right, so when you want to turn this fan off, back to the middle like that. And then if you want to turn the gas flame off, turn this dial all the way around back to 0. And then just check inside the hole there. Make sure your flame's gone out, which it has. And that's it. That's how you use it on gas. A couple of slide out drawers just above that as well, underneath the wardrobe. And so that's how you use the heater on the gas and also how you use the heater's fan. So on this sort of same subject as of the heater, if I just show you, it's a little bit tight in here because of this TV, but I will just do my best. So you've got this little lower one here that says Ultra Heat on it. So we're ignoring the top dial for now. This little lower one that says Ultra Heat on it is the way that you use the heater on electric. So first off, inside the wardrobe, and this is obviously assuming that you've got the electric hookup plugged in. In the wardrobe here, you've got these two switches in here. So you've got this one here on the left that says hot water on it. So we're ignoring that one. And there's one here on the right, which is for your heater. So you would turn this on, again, assuming that the hookup was plugged in. You would turn this on and then come over to this dial again and basically choose between 500, 1000 or 2000 watts. Okay, so basically you would just turn this round to it and then it would just start heating up. So the difference between 500, 1000 and 2000, obviously different amounts of power, but it's more sort of beneficial to think of it in amps. So roughly speaking, 500 watts is going to be about 2.2 amps. 1000 is about 4.5, and 2000 is about 8. So for example, if you went to a campsite and they said, look, you've got a 10 amp pole to plug into, then that's fine. That's 10 amps is okay. But it just means that if you were to use 2000 watts on your electric heater, you're already using 8 out of those 10 amps. So as soon as you put into the mix, you know, if you've got your charger's going to be on automatically anyway, that's going to be about half an amp. Your fridge might be on mains, that's going to be about an amp. So, you know, you're pretty quickly going to be at your maximum power rating. So, in my opinion, 500 or 1000 is plenty if you are going to use it on the mains. You'll probably find that 500 works really well anyway, to be honest. But so just have a little play around with that. I just wouldn't really recommend 2000, to be fair, because it's a bit over the top anyway. But you're always going to be really close to your maximum power limit if you're going to be using 2000. Unfortunately, motorhomes aren't like houses where you can just use kind of nearly as much as you like, to be fair. You know, it's not really like that. So there you go. All right, so that's how you use the heater on the gas and the electric. Now you've got another thing that works on gas or electric is your boiler. So the boiler itself is this little switch in here is how you use it on the mains. So if you've got the mains plugged in, you can literally turn that switch on there and the boiler will start heating up the water. So that's literally as easy as that. As soon as you turn that switch on with the hookup plugged in, it's going to start heating up the water. Inside this little bit here, oh, not that one, that's not what I was thinking of. Put that back away. Sorry, ignore me on that one. I'll show you what I was talking about in a minute. So that's how you use it on the mains. If you want to use it on gas, we're now looking at the top one that says Ultra Store. And then all you need to do to light that up is turn the outer ring once, down like that. It will light up, and then basically you just select your temperature, 30 through to 70 for the water. So it really is as easy as that. So the boiler itself, if I just jump down here, So what you've got over in that corner is a little yellow little tab there, which basically when you turn that tab upright, all the water from inside the boiler will drain out onto the floor. So if you need to drain the water out from that before, you know, before winter and stuff like that, you can drain that out from there. So you've then also got massive storage locker down here and really good access to the top of your fresh water tank. So if you ever needed to drain the water out from the fresh tank, you've got a bung inside there, and it means that you can fill the tank up from inside here as well if you wanted to. All right, so I think for appliances, that's about all there is. I will also just point out that when I tested the TV a minute ago, if I just show you now, so in the wardrobe here, obviously somebody's done this themselves, you know, the wiring and all that. So basically you just plug this into here, all right, which I'll just do now. Plug that in all the way. And basically I just sort of left that for a minute. And if it does it again, which I'm sure it will.
This needs quite a lot of work.
There you go.
If something went wrong,
you've got, you know, the aerial in here is obviously working so well that it's just, you know, I haven't even turned it. I haven't put it up. I haven't moved it. It's just straight on. Really good signal straight away. So can't argue that at all, if I'm honest. So I'm just going to unplug that now. Right, so I'll leave it just slightly plugged in like that, so it's not going to be on, but I'll just leave it together. So in the bathroom, again, another sort of clever thing by Autocruise when they've been building this is that you've got this kind of fold out screen for the shower. So when you want to use the shower, you can basically pull this entire thing this way. It then meets over here, and you've got this shower screen here, which meets up like that. Hopefully no one walks in here and sees me like this. So yeah, really clever use of not a lot of space. So you can put that back. You've then obviously got your tap here that would come in here and be used for the sink. And yeah, so that's your shower compartment there. The toilet, very simple to use. You've got a blue button up here at the top, which is going to pump around your flush fluid. You do need to make sure that you've got some water in the tank before you can use that, and your pump switch needs to be turned on as well. To drain into the cassette, you pull this pull this towards you. That drains into the cassette, and push it back when you've finished. And that's it. That is the bathroom. Nice and simple. So yeah, so I think I've covered everything now. So if there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.